All right. Looks like we've started this next session. Hopefully everyone enjoyed that first one from Yakub. I think the Q&A may have gone over a little bit, so if people missed out, again, just go connect with Yakub, find his LinkedIn or the Meet the Speakers, and can pick up any Q&A we didn't get to. Excited to introduce Sesh and Sumant here from the Equifax team. Their session is about increasing IaC module adoption with AI-powered prompts, and I will turn it over to these guys. Take it away.
Thanks, Gareth. Hello, everyone. Welcome to IaC Con. My name is Suman Modkuri, and I'm here today with my friend and colleague, Seshadri. And in this session, we are going to talk about our experience working on increasing IaC module adoption using AI prompts. Most of you may have already done a lot of great things with AI. Some of you might have recently started using it or thinking about using it. Through this session, we just want to share our journey adopting AI in our work. This is the agenda for the session. We'll start with some general problems we face with IaC modules and then cover the problems we face and how AI helped us resolve those problems. We'll walk you through our encounter with AI assistants, in our case, Copilot, and how we started using it to solve certain problems. First, a little about us. My name is Suman. I'm a senior platform engineer at Equifax. By day, I handle complex problems and reliability issues, but in my off time, I like to experiment with food to make tasty, vegetarian, high protein, healthy meals. I believe a good infrastructure module is a lot like a good recipe. I also like to travel a lot, as you can see from my fridge magnet collection. I have been to 27 states in the US so far and plan to visit all of them in the near future. Now that the coffee I had today morning is showing its effects, let's dive into how we are using AI to revolutionize our development workflow. But first, let's hear from my colleague Sesh.
Hey everyone, thanks Sumant. My name is Sheshadri. I'm having 20 years of IT experience. I'm specialized in building resilient systems in Equifax using SRE and GenAI principles. But reliability is not my just job title. It's how I live, right? If you see my peak performer, I thrive under pressure. My record is 25 miles single day trek. Bring that same uphill stamina to the complete technical migrations. Unstoppable driver. I'm a road warrior. I click once 23 hours continuous drive. I don't tire until I destination reached. This is how I live in my work as well. Scalability culinary arts. I apply SRE principle to the kitchen as well. Capable of load balancing, right? I can serve 300 people a 5-course meal in just span of 2-3 hours. I'm a guardian of the flow. Deeply committed for the environmental sustainability, especially leading river cleaning initiatives in the Missouri Riverbend. See you in the summer if you are coming here. Thank you, Sumant, and take it from you, your point now.
Thanks, Sesh. Now, let's start with an overview of some common problems we face with IaC adoption, whether it can be while trying to leverage IaC modules by refactoring your code or trying to use IaC modules which don't accommodate your complex infrastructure. You might be working on creating IaC modules for your organization or have difficulty understanding the modules which are already available. The one thing I hear a lot is adapting to module versioning and dependency management, which I face a lot as well. And through this session, we will present you with a useful and available option, AI. Also, I would also like to talk about the IaC adoption at Equifax. Here, we have a centralized uh, IaC team which develops and maintains IaC modules. But before the team was developed, there were other teams which have already started using Terraform. So there are certain old teams which don't leverage these new modules and or are started using leveraging these modules. Uh, Me and my colleague faced similar problems when we tried to implement a solution using IaC. In this session, we will talk about two different use cases and how we leverage AI to deliver the results efficiently. Uh, let's talk about my team. My team has services on GCP. We use GKE for our front-end and back-end services, which leverage GCP services like PubSub, databases, BigQuery, cloud storage, and many other services. We use Terraform to manage these resources. We also have two Terraform repos. An old repo created when we migrated to the cloud many years ago, which doesn't use IaC modules and has many problems, including a corrupted mega state file. We have a newer Terraform repo which uses local IaC modules and supports new infrastructure, which is not present in the old repo. Now, last year, I was presented with a task to revamp our PubSub resources to improve some performance issues we had, which were caused by the way faulty messages are being processed. The idea was to implement dead letter queues and also send these messages to BigQuery so that they can be fixed and reprocessed later with some code changes on our Java services. Some of these subscriptions reside in another project, which also has similar situation with their Terraform repos. They also have an old Terraform repo, which is complex, and a new Terraform repo, which is beginning to start using IaC modules. And most importantly, since there was a customer commitment, this task was expected to be delivered as soon as possible. This was around the time where AI was flaunting its omnipresence. So the expectation from our leadership was to use AI in this somehow. Sesh and I attended Google Next last year and heard a lot about AI as well. So we started looking into some POCs. As this revamp was around the same time, I wanted to get my hands dirty, so I took this as an opportunity to do something with AI. So what I did was I opened my VS Code and started saw where the Copilot agent is and started experimenting with it and having a few conversations. I did some research and I came to know that Claude is better to use at the time. So I picked one app and wanted to do the code changes there as a spike to see if this works or not. Before I dive into what I did, let me explain my folder structure. In my new Terraform repo, I have IaC modules which sit in resources folder and modules which and all the apps sit in module folder where we have different apps. These apps have their own environment specific folders which contain main.tf file, variable.tf file, and all those files. We have one common Jenkins file to deploy to do tfpan and tfapply for all these changes. Now, since we have our own IaC modules, we didn't have modules which supported our use case of creating these dead letter queues. So I thought of just creating a IaC module there, but I wanted to know Copilot's opinion on that as well. So I asked Copilot, I explained Copilot my problem and asked it what it suggested. It gave me a few solutions, pros and cons, and I explained what my reservations were about those solutions. And we both agreed to follow one thing where we'll create a local IaC module for this in our new Terraform repo and make the changes accordingly. Now, I started making those changes. I added a code in my main.tf file, and I wanted to ask Copilot to declare the same thing in variable.tf file. I asked it, it did it perfectly. That was my first conversation to make a code change. Now I got another idea. Most of my resources also sit in the old Terraform repo. So I created a workspace with my new and old Terraform repo and gave Copilot more context and asked it to analyze both the repos and see if it can suggest anything extra. It understood the problem and the question, and it said we can import the resources from the old Terraform repo into the state file of the new Terraform repo and follow the same process that we intended to do. Now I started asking Copilot to do more code changes. It made a few mistakes. It added some wrong code. It hallucinated into thinking all the resource names were following the same naming convention. But it also made good code changes, and the code changes it made were sometimes good or correct. After conversing, arguing, and yelling a lot with Copilot, I was able to implement the solution for one app. We created new IaC modules, refactored the code to use it, made changes to Jenkins file to handle state import for resources in the old Terraform repo. We applied these changes, tested it, and the spike was a success. So we were able to implement this for one app successfully in our dev environment. This gave us an idea for me to do similar changes for other apps using these prompts as well. I slowly started increasing the size of my prompts and giving more context information, which is not uh, what is not the expectation and what is the desirable output. As you can see in the slides, uh, after I increased the size of my prompt and provided more context, it was able to successfully make those changes in all those files and prepare a plan on what it wants to do first and the task it needs to finish and successfully finish those tasks. There were a few minor mistakes that it has done, but they were not that uh, difficult to change. Now I needed more of prompt to make it better and make sure it made less mistakes. So I read more into the concepts of prompt engineering and understood what are the best practices to write a well-informed and context-rich prompts. So I started by setting a persona that it is a DevOps engineer with many years of experience, and I used chain of thought to add more context to my prompts. Finally, I was I was able to write a huge, well-structured prompt, as you can see in the picture, to make changes to all apps and also the apps in the other project Terraform repo. I was also using meta prompting to use Copilot to make my prompts better. All the changes were applied by this mega prompt. There were some issues with TF apply, but after I asked Copilot how I can resolve these issues, it suggested me the solution and I was able to resolve those issues. So I used vibe coding and we were able to apply all these changes successfully to all the apps. And now all the subscriptions in both my project and the other project have dead letter queues and was able to send messages to BigQuery. Now, I asked our QE to test this and we were able to successfully test all these changes, which was a huge win for us. And let's talk about the next thing. We were able to do this since time was a constraint for us. We were able to do this very quickly. We took what seemed to be a very complex solution, took us 4 days to finish to in NPE, and a few days later, we were able to successfully promote it to prod. That's done very well. Now, what about the future maintenance? What if in the future there's a new feature for which we have to create new subscriptions? How can someone who is not me can make these changes by understanding the new IaC modules and read through documents and understand the complexity of this implementation? I got an idea. I was talking to Copilot all this time. My buddy Copilot knows everything about what we did. So I came up with an idea where I asked Copilot, what do you want to make sure if I give some information, you will be able to make the code changes successfully? So it gave me a prompt, as you can see on the bottom right. All it needs are a few names and it will be able to add those names to the variables and make the changes. So I tested it, it worked completely fine. As you can see, it's a little bit technical. I wanted it to be more user-friendly. So I conveyed the same to Copilot and it gave me a solution. Stored these details in a file in the IaC module and reference it in the resource, in the prompt. That got us the main prompt we see on the top. All we have to do is provide a name of the subscription, the app name which will subscribe to these messages, and the topic the subscription listens to it, and voila, the subscription will be created. The next part was to commit these changes and create a PR. But hey, why can't Copilot do it? So I asked Copilot and it answered. It committed the code changes and created a PR. Cool, isn't it? That got us into thinking, what if we use Copilot to review the PR as well? Now, I will hand over the presentation to Sesh, who will talk you through the journey of using AI for his use case and also talk about the automatic Copilot PR review that he has worked on. Off to you, Sesh.
Yeah. Thank you, Sumant. This is a great session. Let me go back to my slide. Okay. Here I comes, guys. So I worked with Sumant for 2.5 years. Then I ditched Sumant. I moved to AWS. Okay. So now when I moved there, the situation as a senior leader, what I need to bring that infrastructure as a standard is that I have so many uphills work there. Means so many acquisition companies, we got so many products acquired. Everybody is using Terraform, but there is nobody is using the IaC modules properly, which means everybody has their local code, their local resources and everything. So the issues I faced is that first thing, there is all our local modules and there is no centralized repository, and the drift dilemma. Many people went and instead of doing DevOps, they did a ClickOps. Did the changes on the fly, which means there is no disconnect between the code and the reality. So now how I address this? Another problem I see is that governance gaps. There is no standard security tags were there. At the same time, there is no mandatory configurations. KMS, SSL authentication was not there. So since there are so many open tools were there, teams were using individual open source tooling for their monitoring stuff and everything. Now, the strategy mandate, what organization came up is that since we're having CloudWatch, we need to come together and put it into the one place. The solution I propose is go with the IaC modules. Let's fix this issue at the core. How IaC can help you guys to achieve all these problems into the one place. That's where we started doing that. Then we planned and everything. We see that it's not a simple thing. It's a year-long project. Obviously, business didn't agree for it. It said that they needed to be finished ASAP. We don't want to pay unnecessary licenses for the tools which we don't need it. So that's where we came up, see that what is our problems with the current manual IaC modules. The challenges I see that code is a marathon, not a sprint. You can't rush the logic, but so if you rush the logic, obviously you get the more bugs into your code. So one character rule, which can make you a hero or it can make you to the zero. So a single semicolon should have been power to take down the entire bank, isn't it? So what is other problems with the manual stuff? The secret ingredient is the documentation is like gym membership. Everybody knows how it is useful and everything, but very few people will use it on only emergencies. By seeing this all manual IaC adoption, and what I propose is that, as Suman said, with my expertises and what we did so many POCs in the AI front, so why can't we leverage AI into IaC adoption so that I can put my IaC models at the organization level? For example, I'm building up the CloudWatch monitoring. I'll build all my modules in the organization level with all security principles and everything, so that we'll ask teams to adopt it. So that's where this came up, this IaC model adoption using the IaC AI prompts. So as Suman said, so what first I did was, as you know, right, I know everything, how my CloudWatch monitoring should be, how monitor should be there, and how it has to effectively serve the purpose. There is any issue is there at the system, it give privilege to their resources to find out the root cause in the less time. That is what the main goal. So I know all this stuff. So rather than going and asking Copilot that create a metric filter, create an alarm, create a PagerDuty integration, not a simple stuff. So I know what needs to be asked to the Copilot. I created my concept of master prompting. Each module, I created one single use case of master prompt, and I gave all the details, saying that these are my requirements and configurations. These are my log patterns. These are my metric transformation, and these are key architecture principles. If you see that least privileges, I need to keep it, and there should be no hard-coded values, and output should be looks like this. And real world, give me some real world examples, because once I generate these modules, I need to ask all my 20-25 teams for adapt my modules. They need a real world examples. So give me those examples also. Like this, I started creating the master prompting for the everything, like SNS topic, alarm, repeat notification, and everything. I'll show you in the next slide. But once I have done the great job in the master prompting, next job is very quick. What happened next? I got the production ready code in matter of minutes. And if you see that, I got the modules, whatever the format I'm expecting. I got the main.tf, output.tf, along with the readme files and variables. If you see, not only for the metric filter, right? I have master prompts for everything: alarm, repeat notification, dashboards, SNS topic, and everything. So by using all these master prompts, I'm able to achieve my production ready code in the span of 4 days. So where we are thinking about year-long plan, but my modules are ready in week time. So it doesn't stop there. So where I see that Copilot is outperformed my planning. Few cases, the edge cases, it had concerned and addressed all my edge cases, insufficient data. Okay, you are using count variable. Why you are using count variable? Use for each variable. Okay, I see your Lambda function is running more than 15-20 minutes. You need to optimize this. Go ahead and optimize. Let's run this in less time. What is the back of spam preventions? Your alerts are coming so fast, so you need to stop the spamming. And is there any metric name typos? Rather than debugging in hours of spending time in hours of debugging, why can't you fix these places? My Copilot is even outperformed my planning. So with all this together, I achieved my stuff what we needed. So with this, now you see that within a week time, I'm able to generate the modules. Like, okay, I generated the modules. Okay, there are 120 plus AWS accounts we manage. There are 25 teams who use those 120 accounts. Now everybody say that how to adopt them, right? So they adopted it. Okay, fine. Still, they see 40 engineers are creating 40 PRs. As Suman said, they are creating the 40 PRs. So who will review these 40 PRs? They are my backlog, and somebody has to review and approve them before going into next level. So this is blocking us. That's where we came up with the concept of automatic PR review based on the Copilot instructions. So I have a modules developed using the master prompting. I have a real world examples to adopt it. I gave it to all my 20 teams. They started adopting it. So now once they started creating the PR, so we took a step ahead saying that, okay, rather than me doing personal review of the each PR, why can't Copilot do it? So that's where we created the Copilot instructions. So by keeping all my organization standards, we use GovCloud, we use the FederMap, all the governance principles, intelligent quality gates. Okay, you are using a Terraform code, enforcing the least privileges for the IAM policies. Don't give permission to everyone. Otherwise, they do again ClickOps. They don't follow this one. So pin to the structured error handling in the Lambda function when you are writing it. At the same time, context-aware environment validation. This is very much important when you're doing something not only for the CloudWatch monitoring, when you're developing a Kubernetes clusters and everything. So the difference when you are taking about, okay, Dev and QA, I need a spot instances. In higher environment, I need a reserved instances. Copilot, I have given instructions to review this. By any chance, somebody put spot in the production? No. Like this, we generated so many instructions and I stored in my repo saying that Copilot instructions for the auto review, for example, CloudWatch monitoring. This is my scope of review. These are the areas to be reviewed. Similarly, we have done it for the GCP as well. I have given all these instructions in my MD files. I mean, Copilot Terraform instructions MD file. I asked Copilot to review it. Okay, Copilot reviewed it. What happened here? Here is the one of the PR for the review, right? It gave a summary saying that, okay, this is what I believe you are doing it. These are the files you modified, and each file contain what is that information. But did this automatic PR review stop there? No. If you see my next screen, what it outperformed is that, okay, what line of code you changed and why you changed, what is the purpose of it. It gave very good explanation. But my most interesting part is that last one, suggested changes. Hey, it seems as per your instructions given to me, something you are missing it. You are not following your organization principles, your Copilot instructions properly. Why can't you change this? So it is started giving these results. So now when I'm reviewing my PR, instead of spending an hour time on reviewing the PR, I can spend 5 to 10 minutes. I can give suggestions and we can take it from there. People will go back and do those changes and come back to me. Okay. Now we have a modules. Teams are adopting it. We got the automatic PR review. So everything is working fine. So what next? So we just went and applied it. I got my production ready, metric filters, dashboards, and everything in minutes. This is how teams are benefiting from the doing their stuff. So there might be, I'm not saying that everything will be 100% achieved. There might be situations, few metric filters, few things not achieving their goals. For example, we put default time is every metric filter has to check for the logs for 15 minutes. But there are something, each metric filter need different timing. One will be 15 minutes, other will be 60 minutes, other will be 90 minutes. Again, you want to come back and do those changes. Just ask Copilot saying that, hey, for these metric filters, put the 15 minutes, these metric filters put the 30 minutes, other ones put 1 hour, right? It took it. It will do changes in the fraction of minutes. So seconds to minutes. So you got your code, production ready code again back it, right? This is how we did it. Now with this outperformance, instead of as a year-long project, we did it in 4 months. So all 120 AWS accounts, 25 teams, they adopted in 4 months time. We are production ready and we solved our problem. So the key point I'm stressing here is that IaC modules is the key for your success, and your modules, you specify which configurations are optional, which configurations are mandatory. If you have an organizational level perfect IaC modules, it's very easy to adopt it and maintain it one place and secure. Next, what we have done. Who helped me all this? GitHub Copilot, my AI pair programmer. So I don't want to repeat every stuff. Yes, we know it's the AI and LLM, everything is using. But most important for me is that the best practices we used is the prompt engineering, 4S. Single, specific, sometimes short, surrounding context. So which helped me responsible AI as well. Ensure generated code align with the ethical standards, transparency, accountability, because you need to know who is owning that. So this is how we used it. Now from this, what is my key aspect is that what else my takeaways, right? So AI is not replacing you. AI is not doing anything for you, but AI is giving you real world champion powers to you so that you can do better work in IaC adoption. Okay. How I used it. Human strength. I'm the architect. I know the logical decomposition. I know the security guardrails. I know the state management. I know the context lifecycle and everything, which means I'm the human. I'm the architect. I'm asking AI. It has its own strength. Bipolarity acceleration, cross-provider translation, policy as a code integration, dependency mapping, everything this guy can do. Okay. Now I'm using AI as the engineer, not the. So I'm telling what to do. So AI is taking care of the part how to do it. The together we call it as the force multiplier effect. When these two work together, modules is not about the time. It's lower the cognitive load as well. So which means human focus on the topology what and AI focus on the how. This is how together we achieved it. With this, I will hand it over back to the Sumant and talk a little bit about the what our ongoing efforts we are doing it as well as the takeaways, final takeaways. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Ish. That's a great way to put it. We can be the architect and provide intent, and AI can be the engineer to make our intent into tangible code. Based on that idea, we started working on something cool. We want to spread our implementation across all the IaC modules available at the organization level. We started adding information to IaC modules that the prompts can get more context on what the module is all about, what it has to offer, where the changes should be made, and what are the expectations of it. We want to create an agent that user can talk to and provide their intent. This agent will use the information in the module to ask clarifying questions, make the necessary changes, commit it in a branch, and create a PR. Then the Copilot PR review will then review the PR and make sure it follows the guidelines and standards set by us. We also want to link it to Jira and Confluence so that it can add the necessary documentation on these changes. So once this is implemented, a user can just ask the agent to create a resource, and it will make the code changes and create a PR, which is purely intent based. Now, what are the key takeaways for this session? These are what I believe people can learn from. Be the architect and use AI to do the work. We can leverage vibe coding for it. AI can help deliver results quickly and efficiently, but it needs to have a human directing it. The changes that you make can be reviewed by AI and provide feedback. Leverage prompt engineering and use intent than any manual work. Just give it a try and see where it takes you. Don't worry about documenting your work when you are working with AI because it can do it for you. I think these are some key takeaways that might help you with your work. Thank you for listening to our journey. If you have any questions, please do let us know.
All right, great. Thank you, guys. Awesome presentation. Got some good questions in the chat. Again, if people want some more questions, you can drop them in there, or you can also upvote if you go to the Q&A session. So let me bring that down, and then I can start going through the top voted questions here. We've got 7 minutes until the next session starts. All right, so first question, and you guys, pick up whoever is best suited to answer. How are you handling the lifecycle management of Terraform and provider version using AI?
I think how we want to do it as whenever we want to manage the dependency management, if that's what you're asking, and increase upgrade the version of the provider, we would just start with a conversation with Copilot and see where that takes us, and if we encounter any issues, Copilot can help us resolve them. If that's what the question was.
So I want to add one more point, Sumant, here. Not only right. So sometimes asking Copilot. Other than that, what I do personally is that we keep reviewing the across all the platforms, what versions they are using before I'm generating the new module. Right? Is this compatible or not? We check it before we publishing our new modules, so that it is compatible with the all latest versions. Or otherwise, some backward compatibility also there is some reason somebody using the old version, still we need the backward compatibility. We make sure you use the certain provider version, don't upgrade your provider version. These checks are also part of my prompt, right? Okay, when I'm upgrading my module, check is this my compatibility is there or not with this version. If this compatibility is not there, okay, still you made some changes. Like GitHub Copilot instructions, I have written that if somebody is using mismatched version, you give that session back to them saying that, hey, you are using this version and your module has this version, so you are not allowed to use module X version, so use module Y version. These sessions we included in our Copilot instructions.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, let's see the next one that's got some votes. So the master prompt, I'm not sure which one this was done. So Sumant, this was done in your session, in your part of the presentation. Actually, no, maybe not. Yeah, master prompt looks like it's about the same amount of work as just writing the Terraform code. Similar questions before. How do you become confident that the extra work outperforms just asking something like Claude Code to create a sensible solution with minimal prompts?
Yes. So there are something, right, when it comes to the prompting, minimal code, when it is by going, so once this is my first time development, That's where I came up with the concept of master prompting. If you, as you said, right, Claude code with the minimal prompting, we can even do the inline prompting. So you select the code and ask Claude to, okay, can you help me to fix this? So this how we later address the issues. But my main concept of master prompting is that I need to be 80 to 90% production ready code should be available in the span of real quick time, so that I can compare my requirement is happening or not in my lower environments, so that I can do those inline prompting later. So, okay, seems in dev and QA, I'm having these issues. Okay, I want to fix this in the production. So can you change this piece of code? That's inline prompting, short prompting with cloud will be, yeah, that's helpful. You are right.
All right, great. Thank you. All right, Sai asks, how do we prevent Copilot from enforcing generic best practices that conflict with intentional design decisions?
This here is where we can leverage context-based approach and grounding. So a common practice that I use is that whenever I write a prompt, I will make sure to ask it, don't ask clarifying questions before making any changes. That way, if it has been hallucinating, or if it is conflicting with the best practices, we can stop it right there and give it more context. And if we are leveraging the Copilot PR review, we can always set a rule there that it should enforce best practices that we provided and not what it thinks are the best practices.
Same thing we incorporated in our Copilot instructions as well, right? It's not, our Copilot instructions are not developed over the 1 day or 2 days. Over the period of the time, the course of 4 months duration, which we address entire our solution, this 4-month duration, we keep on improving our Copilot instructions. Okay, it seems you are doing some generic code sessions. No, refer my architecture diagram, refer my instructions, what I'm giving him in my prompt, my architecture principles, my restrictions, and my in detail sometimes, right? I want, for example, I'll take one example here to explain this, saying that Redis, whenever you're getting the Redis instance using the IaC models, by default, auth is disabled. But in my organization, it is not allowed. So when I asked first time, it created me Redis instance by auth disabled. Obviously, when my Copilot instructions pointed me that as per design principles of your organization, this authentication should be enabled. So can you re-enable that authentication and do it? So this how we address this kind of, not too much diverting from our design principles. Still, we can avoid all these generic assumptions.
All right, I think we got time for one more before we head over to the next session here. So Max asks, which model have you had the best experience with?
I went with Claude 4.5.
Same. So I would like to describe, I would like to pick my models based on the work that I've been doing. So for any code changes, Claude worked the best for me, Claude 4.5. And if I want to do any research or also make my presentation look better, I go with Gemini.
Sometimes I do so sarcastic. I search my solution in the Gemini, and I come back saying that, hey, Gemini is telling me that why you was suggesting me this, because I want to really know few edge cases. I will take an example for this edge case also. So KMS keys, SSL enabled and everything, right? So Gemini says, okay, go ahead and do it. But Claude says it auto by default disabled. So we can compare sometimes different when you're not confident on the solution. But again, it's, as I said, AI can't do anything. You need to be monitored as an architect, saying that everything is coming properly or not. But we don't want to bias to the models, but everything is great. But we use Claude 4.5.
Great. Well, thank you both. Great session. Thanks to the audience for asking some good questions. We didn't get to everything, but if we didn't get to yours, go connect with these guys on LinkedIn, and they just definitely pick up the conversation there. We'll end this session, and we will quickly pick up the next one. Thank you both.